Hello, Packers fans, wherever you may be. It's time for another edition of the Pack Attack Cast. We are back. Sorry for not posting for a couple days. We had our trip to the game in Lambeau Field on Sunday against the Lions, and then I went directly into a work trip for a couple days. So apologize for the timing. It could not be helped. But we had a great experience at Lambeau Field. I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes. But we should be good for the next month at least, as far as being on our regular streaming schedule. My next Packers game that I'll be attending will be Packers versus Cardinals, but that is a one-day trip, so that should not impact streaming too much. Before I forget, follow us on Blue Sky at Pack Attack Cast. If you're not following us there, why not? I try to commentate continuously, give you updates on the show, give you comments on the Packers through Blue Sky. So definitely give us a follow there. The more followers we have, the more excuse I'll have to be on the app. Those of you that are married understand what I'm saying there. Let's get back into it. I want to go quickly over the game on Sunday. I'm not going to belabor Micah Parsons, the amazing offense. I'm just going to give you a couple quick takes on the game as a fan at the stadium. Okay, so number one, there was too much blue in that stadium, and that was very frustrating to me. When I first got there and I was walking around tailgates and hanging out, I thought, oh, it's about 10% Lions fans. That's probably acceptable. And we're going to have a good showing for Packers fans. But then when I got into the stadium on Sunday, I realized that the Lions fans didn't want to tailgate or hang out outside. They just kind of got there and went into their seats. So when I first got to my seats, it was like a sea of blue. It was like a sea of blue out there because all the Packers fans were out tailgating and having fun. But, Packers fans, I understand if you have season tickets, there's an urge to make money on the game. I really wish ticket selling companies would allow you to decide, oh, I only want to sell to people who are affiliated with the Packers or the home team. I think that would be great. So if Packers fans legitimately can't go to the game, they could say, oh, okay, well, I'll at least sell to a Packers fan and know that things will be fine in the stadium. They don't do that. I'm sure there's collusion issues or something like that. Plus, somebody could just lie and say they're a Packers fan just to get tickets. But it would be a nice thing to see. Now, once the game got started and Micah Parsons was announced and everybody was pumped up and the Packers were just kicking the Lions' asses, it really quieted the people in blue down. I saw that from personal experience in the stands, and Packers fans were going crazy. The energy in that stadium week one was unreal. Everybody was pumped. Everybody was excited. Everybody was dancing to the music. Everybody was jumping up and down at the big plays. Packers fans are ready for a Super Bowl contender. They're tired of youngest team in the league to make the playoffs. They want a Super Bowl contender, and so do I. And we're looking good after week one, but that was just week one. And tomorrow, the Commanders are coming into town. So we're going to do our pregame for the Commanders game tomorrow, but I do have some quick hits on some keys to the game for Thursday. So we're going to talk about that a little later. Going back to the game, this was the best game for the Packers against a quality foe that I've seen since the playoff game against Dallas in 2023. Yeah, we've had bigger blowouts, but they were against crappy teams. This was a quality blowout win against a great opponent in the Detroit Lions. And the score wasn't even reflective of the true outcome of the game because of that bad in my opinion, that bad touchdown call for Tesla at the end of the game with less than 2 minutes left. Um, I met some great fans tailgating before the game, including people who watch this channel, so very excited about that. In particular, shout out to Tom Addison, who gave me a great tailgate class on a perfect old fashioned. And Tom, that was one of the best old fashions I've ever had. And thank you for texting me your top secret family recipe after the game. That was awesome. Once again, follow us on Blue Sky, and you'll see all this activity at the games. Christian Watson gets a 1-year extension and is signed through 2026. Big surprise news here. I really thought Christian Watson might be one of the casualties of the Micah Parsons deal. But Christian Watson getting a 1-year extension through 2026. This leaves only 4 starters with expiring contracts this year. I don't expect any more extensions for this group post Micah Parsons. Maybe this deal got done because it was a team-friendly deal. I thought the pricing on the Christian Watson extension was very favorable to the Green Bay Packers. Now, it could be the Packers went to Christian and said, hey, you're hurt. How about we sign you up for another year to make sure you're fully healthy before you're a free agent? Or maybe the agent for Christian Watson came to the Packers and said, hey, he's coming off an injury. Let's do a 1-year extension. But either way, I think it's great for Christian Watson because he gets to get a full year under his belt before he becomes a free agent again. And it's good for the Packers because Christian Watson is the best field stretcher that the Packers have. Likely casualty for this will be Romeo Doubs next year, specifically at the wide receiver position. I don't see him coming back, but I don't see him being traded because the Packers have to value the depth at wide receiver. So I think Romeo Doubs will have a solid year. He will get a solid contract outside of the Packers' ability to match next year, and he will move on. And then you have Matthew Golden going into the starting role full-time in that spot in the roster. So we'll see what happens there. Offensive line is a key issue going into the game on Thursday. We have Aaron Banks and Zach Tom, who did not complete the game on Sunday, were out of practice Monday and Tuesday. We'll see if either of them practice today. This is the last practice before the game. But I want to emphasize, in the stands, it's harder to keep track of injuries. So Aaron Banks and Zach Tom were out. I didn't really see a difference in the offense between when they were in and when they were out. So that tells me that Jordan Morgan played very well in relief of Aaron Banks, and Anthony Belton stepped in and did a really good job against the Lions. So what that tells me is this offensive depth, which is a strength of this team, this offensive line depth, is coming into play this week. We've got a short week, limited opportunity for injured players to get back. So we need Jordan Morgan and Anthony Belton to be effective against the Commanders if they're called in to be starters. Now, the good thing is the Commanders don't have Aiden Hutchinson, who did nothing last Sunday. So I feel fairly confident that Jordan Morgan and Anthony Belton can sub in for a game, and then the Packers will actually get kind of a mini bye. They'll get 10 days off before they play the Browns to get everybody healthy again. So if we could get through the game on Thursday with our backups, I think we'll be okay. As long as Zach Tom and Aaron Banks don't have long-term injuries. Now, Aaron Banks has an ankle injury. Zach Tom has a hip injury. That leads me to believe that they are not long-term injuries. So we're going to have to watch that very closely, but I'm feeling pretty good that will be fine. Sorry, my dogs are going crazy. They'll calm down in a minute. If you can hear them. Um, and you can. I just noticed on the stream. So let's get back into it. So let's talk about early keys to the game on Thursday, and it does tie a little bit into the injuries. So we're going to dive into the game deeper with our full pregame show tomorrow before the game. But I want to talk about some keys to the game as you look ahead to Thursday. Number one is going to be stopping the run. The Commanders are highly successful when rushing more than 100 yards in a game because they have very good running backs, and they have Jayden Daniel, who ran for 68 yards last week against the Giants. The Packers need to keep up their success they had against the run that they had against the Lions. And the good news is the Lions' running backs are better than the Commanders' running backs. So I feel like if they just do what they did last week, they will be successful against stopping the run, at least against the running backs for the Commanders. Jayden Daniel we'll get to a little later. But the Packers' run defense was elite in week 1. If they could do that again week 2 on a short week, then I think the Packers can stop the Commanders' running game, which would be a big key to winning this game. In addition, the good news is the Packers don't have time to switch things up defensively game between game. But I think if the Packers take the same blueprint on defense that they used against the Lions, they will be just fine against the Commanders this week. This brings me to number 2 for this week. And equally important, we need to run the ball. We need 100-plus yards against the Commanders this week from the running backs. I would also like to see Jordan Love do a little running. We didn't see that in week 1. It could be that he's trying to protect his thumb. I don't know. But I think there were some opportunities in that game to get a couple first downs by running the ball. I think Jordan Love did a great job of looking down the field for his receivers this last week. But I would like to see him occasionally run the ball for a first down. I don't expect big gains from Jordan Love, but if he can occasionally get a first down, it requires the defense to keep an eye on him on passing downs and not have a free coverage person out in covering the receivers, because they'll have to keep someone honest in keeping an eye on Jordan Love. So I'd really like to see that. So if we run for more than 100 yards, it will keep the Commanders off the field. It will allow the offensive line to fire off and blunt the Commanders' pass rush. It also allows Anthony Belton to play with his strength, which is as a run offensive lineman versus a pass blocker. And this allows Anthony Belton to play to his strength if he starts. Anthony Belton is better attacking than defending at this stage in his career. So if Anthony Belton is going to be in there, we should be running the ball and letting Anthony Belton attack downfield. It also reduces the potential for pass protection penalties, which will again help Anthony Belton in this game. Up next, we're going to contain Jayden Daniels in the pocket in the red zone. He is a deadly runner near the goal line, just like Jalen Hurts. We need to deploy a spy, think Parsons and Cooper, in these situations to swarm the runner like we did in week 1. So I know there's a lot of people who say spies don't work. They don't have the athleticism to catch a running quarterback. It just leaves you vulnerable in the passing game. But in my opinion, the Packers could use a combination of Parsons and Cooper on different downs and different situations near the goal line to keep an eye on Daniels. And then the rest of the defense needs to keep a little eye over the shoulder and see if Jayden Daniels is running the ball. If he's running the ball, we need to swarm and tackle. So there's some quick keys to the game. This is a relatively short stream because we don't have a terrible amount of news today, and we're going to go through what I think we need to do to beat the Commanders in detail tomorrow. But I just wanted to get back on, give you my thoughts about the game on Sunday and how we could prepare for the game on Thursday, tomorrow already. And then we're going to have a mini bye after that to get ready for the Browns. So this game is super important because, one, it's against a NFC playoff team. Statement game. Number two, it's a home game. We need to defend home turf if we're going to get to 12 wins this season. And number three, it's a critical game on a short turnover, but that hurts the Commanders as much as it hurts the Packers. So I think we'll be fine there. And we really need to find ways to stack wins right now. So if we get these 2 wins, then we get a mini bye to get everybody healthy before we play the Browns, and then we play the Cowboys. We could be in a position where we go into the bye week at 4-0. It is within our grasp, but we need to focus on winning against the Commanders week 2 on Thursday. So I'm very excited about that. So again, we're going to have our pregame show tomorrow morning. I'm going to go in depth into matchups and how the Packers can win against the Commanders. We'll use PFF to take a look at some stats for the Commanders and the Packers to figure out how best to beat them. We're going to also talk about game plan, game management. We'll give you an update on injuries, and we'll get you ready for the game with a very long stream tomorrow morning. Then we're going to have the game, and then after the game, I will do a post game, and then we'll have a game. We'll have a regular stream on Friday. So you're going to get a lot of coverage here. Once again, sorry I was gone for 3 days. It was out of my control. But it was a lot of fun to see you guys out there at Lambeau Field. It was a great memory for me. Going to Lambeau Field, it was the first game of the season. It was a win against the Lions. It was a first game and first sack of Micah Parsons. It was the first game of Matthew Golden's career, regular season. It was just an exciting thing to be, and I couldn't give that up for anything. It was so much fun. But we'll be back tomorrow with more keys to the game against the Commanders and your pregame show for week 2. So we'll see you then. As always, go Pack Go, and let's get ready to send the Commanders home with a loss on Thursday. Talk to you then.